Matthew Rocchio, Randy Karraker. It is the Randy Karraker Show at STL Sports Central, and we always like to talk to the head coach of the Billikens of St. Louis University, Josh Schertz. And Coach, getting ready to get things started on October 23rd against Bradley. First of all, great to have you with us. How was your quote-unquote off-season? How you doing?
Yeah, the off season off season basically 11 days in May and 2 weeks in August, so it was good. No, it's been great. It's been a good summer, good fall. Exceptionally long runway to get ready to play. So, that's the biggest thing, is just trying to, get the necessary work done without it getting super stale, without guys, getting injured. So you're threading some needles. We've been going, 4 months now plus against each other. So we're a little desperate for some outside competition.
And you've been to Bradley with Indiana State. You know what it's like. How do you like opening up with Bradley at Peoria?
Well, it's good. I think, when we looked at our two scrimmages or exhibitions, we felt like we wanted to, to give ourselves some different opportunities. And so, each one is kind of like the chance to go and to play at Bradley against a really good team, to be up towards the top, if not the top of the Missouri Valley. It's a really hard road environment, being there at Indiana State. It's a really hard place to play. Brian's teams are very well coached. They're super physical, usually big, much bigger than the average Valley team. So we wanted to give ourselves a trial run of what it looks like on the road. Here's what it's good. We only play one true road game in the non-conference. So while this one doesn't count on the standings, it certainly counts in terms of the experience we're going to get, and hopefully we'll be able to take a lot from it. Bradley's a really good team. This will be we were really selective in particular about both opportunities. We think we got a lot from the first one. We think we got a lot from the second one.
A lot of news has trickled out from the not-so-secret scrimmage between the Billikens and the Iowa Hawkeyes. Obviously, you can't tell us exactly what happens, but you get the scrimmages, at least the public ones. I know you've been doing a lot of scrimmages at practices. You get to see your team progress over those, and then you finally get to see them against, non-teammates. What was your thought process? How are you feeling after that scrimmage?
Yeah, it's funny. Everybody, I think, the scrimmages used to be like secret. They're not like secret anymore. Like everybody knows it happened. Like I can discuss the scrimmage. It's not like it, the old days, it was like you had to be like off the grid. It was just a closed scrimmage. And there was enough people there when you look at administration and donors and various people through there, women's basketball, that these things never stay secret anyway. The result gets out or whatever's people's perception of the result gets out, and then it all just creates fodder until we start playing for real. But it was great to have Iowa in. You're playing a Big Ten team. First off, it was just great to not play each other for once, and actually play an opponent in a different uniform. And you want to see, you want to get a kind of a window in where you are at a moment in time. And for us, it was some things we've been working on, some areas that we believe are strengths, but we need the competition to show us, hey, these are things you're doing well, keep building them. Here are some areas that we exposed that you need to continue to double down on and get better in. And, I think, we went into that game really planning to play a lot of guys early. We actually had planned to play. We played 5 guys in the first 6 minutes of the game. Then we rotated, we platooned 5 other guys for the back half of the first quarter. We played, basically played 4 12-minute quarters and played a 5th quarter with a lot of the other guys. My son and Isaac Holmes got to play, so that was nice the last 10 minutes. But although they were a little fatigued from going that long, but we scripted it out how we're going to sub, and so we played 5 guys 6 minutes, subbed out, played another 5 guys for 6 minutes, and started the plan was in the second quarter to sub 2 more guys. And so we'd have 12 guys in the first 12 minutes of the game. And Deion Brown didn't play because of some knee irritation on his other knee. And so, but we got everybody in. We played 11 guys, which was great. We looked at all kinds of combinations. Nobody for us played more than 25 minutes of the 48. And only one guy played 25 minutes. Everybody else played less than half the game. So, but we looked at a lot of different combinations. We were able to play different guys together, see different things, and then also see like, hey, these things that, we've talked about a lot about in the preseason, you're really focused on trying to, build fundamentals, create habits so you can have an identity. What do we want this team's identity to be? And how is that looking in terms of making progress, in terms of, are we building that identity, who we want to be offensively, who we want to be defensively. And, we saw some things that certainly are promising. And then there's areas like always, you got to go back and clean up. And when you're playing, a team like Iowa, Ben's a great coach. We've been friends a long time. They're gonna expose some things. So we got some things to go back and work on, and hopefully be the same after Bradley. Be able to take the lessons of that one, fly it forward, and then get ready for real against SEMA.
Why is this team's lineup versatility, the things you're trying out right now, the ability to put, two bigs on the court at once, go small if you want to? Why is that lineup versatility with this roster so crucial to this team's success?
Yeah, I think, it creates the ability to have a lot of answers to what the opponent is doing, what's working on that given night. I think, you want a team that's as deep and as versatile as possible. There was a variety of reasons that it wasn't that last year. I mean, I think, you can't coach every team the same. Like, you got to meet a team where it is. And every team that you coach has strengths and vulnerabilities. And your job as a coach is to try to maximize, accentuate the strengths, and then mitigate the weaknesses as much as possible. And, last year's team, for a variety of reasons, we were the opposite of deep and versatile. And we had to, and now we were, guys gave us everything. And I was very proud of that group. But I think for us, for this group, to play as many guys as we want to play, we have to play differently on both ends of the floor. We'll probably play faster offensively and faster defensively than I've ever played. We're going to sub more and play more guys than I've ever played. But I think that's what this team requires, because, the reality was, if Deion Brown's healthy, he was going to start in that scrimmage. He didn't play. But, we have 12 guys that I feel confident putting into a college game right now that can help us win. Now, regular season, you can't play 12 guys, only 200 minutes. But, how do we reduce that number down to a manageable number? And I think the versatility, whether we can switch five, we got offensive lineups, defensive lineups. We can play with two bigs, one big. We can play with five guards out there because of our collective size. So that versatility is going to serve us, and depth will serve us very, very well if we use it right here in the season to come.
Hey, Josh, have you ever seen the documentary, the HBO doc, We Beat the Dream Team? Speaking of scrimmages.
Oh, no. Oh, when you're talking about I didn't see it, but I know what you're talking about. I saw
Chris Webber and Grant Hill and Bobby Hurley, and that group had a scrimmage against the Dream Team, and ostensibly they beat them. There's video of it.
Right.
So
yeah, absolutely. And then they came back the next day, and I think, or a day later, or 2 days, and I think, they say, I don't know if it's true or not, they say Chuck Daly kind of let it happen, and then to kind of rile them up, and then I don't know what it was the next day, but they just absolutely killed the
smoked
smoked the select team in day two.
Hey, what's the biggest difference for you between year one and year two?
I think everything's different. I think, my comfortability, when you look at the job, understanding St. Louis University, the relationships that I have with the administration, having a team where I really feel confident about our roster construction. The thing that happened, my first year at Indiana State, when I took that job, like, I really didn't, and it just had kind of started, but I didn't understand the portal worked. Really, like, coming from D2, we didn't have, and we had it, but guys didn't really transfer. And so coming in, and I hired a staff that also didn't understand it. Zach Bovair came from Army. They didn't have the portal there. I hired a guy from the NBA, Bryson Williams, who's now on staff at Iowa. He obviously never heard of the portal. Graves wasn't recruiting. So, like, I put together a terrible staff to navigate the portal, and we didn't do great in it. The second, for my first go around, I thought we did a great job. We were done in the middle of April that second year with our portal class. And that team goes from 11 wins to 23. Then the same thing happened the next year. We were done very early, got Conwell, Swope, Jake Wolf done early. We were done middle of April, and we kind of had what we needed. Last year when I got here, we came, it is what it is. We played, and unfortunately, we wanted to win the whole thing, but losing the championship of the NIT, I get to here April 8th, and we're starting with two players. And that's a lot to go with. And not that we didn't do well, we just, it didn't work out exactly the way we hoped. And then, of course, we had a rash of injuries. But I think the comfortability, and now our roster, again, we were done this year outside of Badara, we were done with the core of our roster middle of April, and feel very much like I did at Indiana State, where we did very, very well in terms of guys who fit our program, our culture, and that'll be pieces that'll, on teams, it's always about how you compound each other. We think we have guys that compound each other on offense, on defense, and in the locker room.
And one of those guys that was on the team when you got here was Kellen Thames, and last year was such a bummer for him. How's everything going with Kellen?
Kellen's doing good. I mean, he was able to, he played very well in the scrimmage. He played 20 minutes with Dion out. He played a big role. He was, as Kellen always is when he's able to play. He was incredibly impactful. Touching, winning in so many different ways. And our hope is that this team, the way it's constructed, will allow him to do what he does, which is really bring incredible energy. We don't need him and probably most anybody else to be playing, 32 minutes a night. So, if he can bring his energy, play in great bursts, I think, he's a guy that just, as we've all seen, he's got great instincts, so athletic, such a downhill, forceful player on offense. He's become a high-level defender, gets his hands on balls. I think he had 5 steals in the game, in 20 minutes against Iowa. I mean, so his ability to turn defense into offense is second to none. And so if as long as he's, he'll be a huge key for us, because just like last year, he's a guy that we always talk about, who impacts winning, who affects winning. Kellen Thames puts his fingerprints on winning in as many ways as anybody on our basketball team, just like he did last year.
You've mentioned one of the newcomers in Deion Brown and how he would have been starting in that scrimmage had he been healthy and been available. One of the other newcomers that's making waves has been the guard Trey Green. In fact, he's making a lot of waves because one of your coach, Zach Bovair, he saw this stat out there among the rest of the world on Twitter, and he replied to this and said, "Get ready to learn Trey Green, buddy." So tell everybody, let us learn Trey Green right now. Why is he going to be so special in this offense?
Yeah, Trey's a guy that's just, he's wired to score. He can really put points on the board. He does it efficiently. If you go back, obviously we chart, every possession going back to June. That's live basketball, 5-on-5. And, he's the only guy on the team I think he's shot between 42 to 45% every month. Like there's never been a month he's been below 42. I mean, he has stayed in the 40s. He not only leads us in made threes, but he's doing it at the highest percentage. And he's done that, June, July, September, and now into October. And, his consistency in shooting, he's been on that, 50, 40, 90 track, which is always, really impressive. He can put points on the board in a hurry. We've got really 3 guys that I think are super ignitable with Trey, Ish, and Brady, Ishan Sharma, Brady Dunlap. Those 3 guys are so ignitable from 3. And last year there was such a pressure on Gibson and Isaiah to make shots. And this year I don't want to forecast, hey, we're going to have, this many guys make 100 threes, because we all know that's incredibly hard to do. But I think the collective shooting, the shooting up and down the roster, is going to give us a real chance. And Trey Green's a guy that he can put points on the board in a hurry. He'll be a dynamic player that I think our fans will love. He's small, but he's super competitive. He's absolutely wired to score and can do it in a variety of ways. But his consistency from 3 with the quantity has been remarkably impressive here since he got here in June.
And speaking of that shooting, this is the last one here for me, Coach. Last year, I remember talking to you about, how much your offense, you get like a third shooter on the floor, and it really opens everything up. And a lot of people had expectations for the offense last year, and you didn't always have that third shooter. Now, adding 3 shooters, it sounds like you're going to consistently have those outlets on the floor the majority of the time this year. So how will that open up this offense?
Yeah, I mean, shooting is so important in basketball today. It's not just the ability to make threes, it's what it does to open the floor up. It creates space. I mean, it opens the rim up for drives, it opens the rim up for cuts. If teams can just sit back and put guys in the paint, and you can't make them pay for doing that by making shots, well, that's going to take away some of your game. Now, we did, as the year went on, a good job of leveraging Kalu and leveraging Kobe and those guys, but At the end of the day, like we needed more collective shooting, more collective playmaking. Isaiah, Robbie were 1-2 in the league, I think, in turnovers. Again, because of the amount of, we just put an incredible amount on those guys' plates. Hey, play 38 to 40 minutes a night, make all the decisions. You got to get, 20 points a night and play making, because that wasn't Gibbs' forte, so the playmaking fell on those two guys. And so I think this team is collectively across the board. Our offense has always been best, and we've had 5 guys on the floor who can handle pass shoot. We'll be able to play lineups that have 5 guys on the floor who can handle pass shoot, a number of lineups. And we'll also have lineups on the floor where, man, we can play with great size and physicality, or like I said, we can, defensively, we can switch everything and play 5 switchable guys. We can play offensive lineups where you're playing guys like, and I'm just throwing names out there, but you play like Trey Green, Brady Dunlop, Ishan Sharma, Robbie Avila, Jax Kerr. And now you got 5 guys, who can all shoot, and 1-6-11, 1-6-10, the other, 1-6-8, 1-6-5, 6-6, and Trey. So, then you got other lineups defensively where you can throw guys out there like Amari McCautry and Kellen Thames and Deion Brown and Quentin Jones and, Paul Etienne or Kluanya, where do you attack that lineup? A defensive. So we have all kinds of, ways to play. And I think that goes back to our original premise, is like, that's going to allow us in games to problem solve inside of games, in terms of like, hey, we need to go to this. We might close the game. Maybe we're up 10 with 5 minutes to go, and we throw that defensive lineup out and say, hey, we're just going to absolutely guard you for the next time. Or maybe we're down and we need to go offense. So we have all these different things we're playing with and in practice. And then obviously we need the games to give us, more feedback. But Iowa was a really good start because we were able to, over the 48 minutes, play outside of Deion not playing, play all kinds of lineups and look at, just like we talk about with teams, meaning where they are, every lineup has strengths and vulnerabilities. There's things we do really well with 2 bigs on the floor, and there's things we do poorly. There's things with Robbie in at the 5 or Paul in the 5 that we do well, do poorly. And there's things where we play the 5 guards that are, man, these are really big strengths, but here's some vulnerability. Like with that lineup, like our turnover rate is through the roof. We're turning people like crazy. Our defensive rebounding has to be better, right? Like, so your trade-offs are, and you're figuring out what the trade-offs are at the given time.
It is amazing, Josh, that we can talk about the Billikens for as long as we have. And you brought up Robbie Avila, but we have not.
Yeah.
He wanted to hit the weight room during the offseason. How's he looking?
I think he's made great progress. Robbie's, he's not slimmed down in the sense of like he's lost weight. I think his body composition has changed. He's gotten stronger. He's more than doubled like what we do the 185 test where you bench out, rep out 185. He more than doubled that, what his number was last year. Already this year, his muscle mass is better than it was. And so I'm excited for Rob. I think he's going to have a really good year. I think it was, I would say like, there's incredible expectation on him. You look at it and we talked about, the turnovers and some of the stuff, but, people are like, oh man, he really struggled. He averaged over 17 points a game, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, led the country for bigs and made threes and assists. And people are like, man, you would have thought the guy, came in and was horrendous. And I don't know that his numbers will be where they are, because I think we'll be able to play him less. But what I do think will be for him is his less will be more for him on offense and defense. His efficiency should skyrocket from what it was last year. Assists up, turnovers down, shooting percentage up, because less will be more for him. We can put less on his plate and less minutes on his legs. And I think that'll make him significantly more efficient, back to kind of what it was at Indiana State, hopefully, in terms of his efficiency levels.
Finally, we're so enamored of the transfer portal and all the new guys that have played at other schools. Sometimes we kind of overlook the true freshmen, and you've got a really intriguing class. And the 6'11" guy Kerr seems really intriguing to me. What has he shown so far?
Yeah, Jax is really unique. He's 6'11", really can shoot the basketball, has great mobility. He's kind of a hybrid. I had a kid in Division II who's, now playing overseas, and he played in the NBA for a while. Emmanuel Terry was National Player of the Year for me at Lincoln Memorial, and was this, great athlete with great instincts. And then obviously I've had Robbie, who's incredibly skilled. Jack's a little bit of both to his game. He's got this incredible mobility. He's a really good athlete. He's got great instincts as a shot blocker, and he's terrific. Though he can handle the ball, he can pass, he shoots threes. He's impactful on both ends of the floor. He's a guy that he's gotten better every single day. It's hard to say, like, he's out there every day competing against, Robbie Avila, Paulo Tieno, Kalu Anya, like these bigs that have started in college basketball the last 3 years, and he's more than holding his own. And he's going against seniors every single day as an 18-year-old freshman. And his curve, his trajectory, and his ceiling as a player is at the highest level. He's got a chance to certainly make an impact on this team and to be a guy that could be a guy you can build a program around moving forward. He's got those kind of tools, but he'll help us this year. He's not going to redshirt. He'll play. And we see him as a guy that can help us win games in 25, 26 for sure. We've got a really good freshman class around him. We love those guys: Cam Hudson, Luke Lechkowski, Badara Diakite, all really going to be terrific players at this level. But Jax, his acclimation's been the quickest of those four so far.
And Coach, we can't wait. November 3rd, SEMO, and still some great deals, by the way, for season tickets. People can get season tickets in the end zone for $150. Great seats, great building at Chaffetz Arena, and it's going to be a fun team, isn't it?
Yeah, I would really encourage. I know we got to earn the sellouts and all that stuff, but this has a chance to be a great journey. Hopefully, as many people as possible come and walk it with us from day one. Come out, support the team. I think it's going to represent, what we want St. Louis basketball to be about, what the city is about. It's a group of guys working incredibly hard. They care. They care about the city. They care about the school. They care about each other. It's going to be an exciting brand of basketball. And at the end of the day, we want to get as many people in there. We want to create an incredible home court advantage for us, and the fans are the wind at the back, and we need them loud and proud. So hopefully we see everybody in a great environment for SEMO on the 3rd. And we got, we got 19 home games this year, so a great opportunity to come out and really get bang for your buck in terms of, coming out and some great opponents coming through, even non-conference, Grand Canyon, San Francisco, some really good teams coming through, Chaffetz, SEMO, pick to win the Ohio Valley, etc. as we go on.
We can't wait. We're looking forward to it, and we will see you over there at Chaffetz. Coach, thanks for the time. We'll talk to you soon.
Sounds great. Thanks for having me on. See you guys. Have a great weekend.
Thanks so much for your time, Josh. Have a good one.
Josh Schertz, the head coach at St. Louis University. Tickets at SLUBillikens.com. Hey, Missouri, get ready. The wait is almost over. DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is coming soon to the Show Me State, and you can sign up today. New Missouri customers get $300 in bonus bets when DraftKings launches on December 1st. Download the app now and place a $5 bet when DraftKings goes live, and DraftKings Sportsbook will bring everything you need to elevate your game day, including live in-game betting, lightning-fast payouts, and endless ways to get in on the action, all right from your phone. And when DraftKings officially goes live in Missouri, you'll be betting with the sportsbook app trusted by millions. It's safe, it's secure, and has fast money withdrawals. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the code STL Sports to grab $300 in bonus bets with just a $5 bet when DraftKings goes live December 1st in Missouri. That's code STL Sports in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus, physically present in Missouri. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Excludes customers who redeem pre-launch sign-up offer. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.